Welcome to the farm today, guys. Another beautiful day here in September. Wow, this is crazy, the weather we're having here, guys. This summer has been beautiful and hot, but I know today is the day that you guys have been waiting for, the potato harvest. This is where we find out how the potato towers, the bagged potatoes, and the potatoes in the ground did this year. And we're also going to be building a DIY insulated waterer for the boys. So come along on the farm as we get these things done.
With the end of the summer season, along with that comes harvest time. Now you guys saw our video where we did our potato towers. We did 3 different methods this year. We did the tower, we did some bags, and we also planted directly in the ground. We're going to start with these feed bags and have a look and see how much we got. Now we had planned on slowly raising the level of the bags and adding more dirt as the plants grew, but with time it got away from us this year, collecting wood and things like that, so we just went with the one level. We're going to have a look and see how well that did, and maybe make some tweaks and changes next year. Let's dump this bag out and have a look and see how many potatoes we got. Now this was one of the space-saving methods that we showed you guys for growing potatoes. If you're in a townhouse or a condo or apartment, it's not going to grow enough for you to live off for an entire year, but if you want to grow something, that's a good idea. Now like I said, you're not going to get a ton out of here. If you remember from our first video, we only put 2 potatoes in this bag, so I'm not expecting a dozen potatoes to fall out, but let's dump it over and see what we got. You guys help me?
Oh, yeah. 2 potatoes! One here. One here. Oh,
good job, guys. So this is everything we got out of our first bag. Not too bad at all. We're going to dump the next bag and see what we get total.
Oh, I found one.
You can see how well we did with just 2 of the bags. Got a lot of potatoes here. We're going to go ahead and show you what we get out of our potato tower, and then we're going to dig up what grew in the ground. So we've harvested everything out of our bags. We're going to move on to our potato tower. Now if you saw last year's video, you'll know that our potato tower was an epic fail. Mostly because it was our fault, partly because of weather. This year we did make some changes hoping to get a better result. However, the weather was against us this year. It was a really bad season for everything. We tried to water it, but it still died. We're going to cut the tower off of the T-post. We're going to knock it over and see how much we get from this year's harvest. Well, I see potatoes already. Ooh.
That's already better than last year.
This is already better than last year, and we haven't even taken it apart yet. So I'm optimistic for a bit of a better harvest. Let's take it apart and see what's on the inside.
So we had a lot of comments online, people saying potato towers don't work. And of course, you're never going to get the same type of harvest out of a potato tower as you would out of the ground. But if you don't have large acreage to dig up and have a huge potato field, and you just have a small urban plot of land, a potato tower may give you the opportunity to grow your own potatoes.
This is a good one. So this is what we were able to get out of the potato towers. It's about 10 pounds worth of potatoes. This is about 3 times the amount that we actually put into the tower itself, so we definitely did better than what we planted. If you don't have a lot of room to plant potatoes in the ground, a tower could be a good idea for you. Definitely take a look at the area you're in, because all methods will produce varying results depending on where you are and what your growing season is. Now we're going to go ahead and dig up what's in our rows and see how we did over there. Just before we go ahead and dig up the plants, I wanted to show you guys some little bugs that we got this year. These are potato bugs, and you can see them eating the leaves of the potatoes. Now, when you don't spray your plants with pesticides, this is something that can happen. You can get infestations that can sometimes wipe out your entire harvest. But for us, it's not worth it to spray any pesticides or chemicals because we have animals and kids. We just don't want the chemicals on the farm. So we're going to go ahead and dig these up and see how well we did. So this was one plant that I pulled up, and this is how much I got from it. Not a bad little harvest. You can kind of expect a similar amount for all of your plants, so this row should do pretty well. See, this is our seed potato. See how it's squishy? You just toss that to the side and pull out all your good ones. We have harvested all of our potatoes, and as you can see, we got almost a full 5-gallon bucket, and these potatoes are a good size. This is a huge improvement from what we were able to get last year from just our potato towers alone. So I think what we're gonna do going forward next year is for us here, now that we've had 2 years worth of trial and error, is the best way for us to grow them is gonna be in the ground. Now, we only bought 2 small 5-pound bags of seed potatoes from our local co-op. I think if we were to double that next year and plant all of them in the ground versus using the tower and the bags, our yield will probably be 5 of these 5-gallon buckets versus just the 1. Now, this definitely is not going to last us an entire season. We do use a lot of potatoes here, but it's a good head start. We've easily doubled what we put into the ground. So to be able to mash these, freeze them, and use them up over the fall and into the winter, it's going to be a great savings for us in the long run. If you don't have the space to grow in the ground like we do here, then the towers and the bags are a great alternative for you. It's not going to give you huge buckets of potatoes, but it's something. And anything you can grow at home without the pesticides is always going to be better for you than anything you buy in the store. Now that we got all our potatoes dug up, I'm going to go over here and show you guys something else that grew really well on the farm this summer that started just as one tiny little seed. We got a great little harvest of potatoes today that we're going to take inside and make some homemade wedge fries to go with dinner. I know the kids are going to love those, and it's great to be able to use potatoes that we grew ourselves. Something else that grew really well this year on the farm, if you guys know, here in Atlantic Canada, we had a really hot, dry summer, and pretty much nothing grew this year. But one thing that grew really well, we started as a seed inside, planted it on our hill here, and it grew huge, is our giant Atlantic pumpkins. And we got 2 big ones this year growing, which is great because with everything going on with COVID, there is no pumpkin patch visit this year, so we can enjoy our own pumpkins. This is just one of the 2. This is actually the smaller of the 2 pumpkins. If you have a look at that, believe it or not, the other one is even bigger. We're so excited to pull these off the vine and be able to carve them and also save some seeds for next year so that we can plant some more pumpkins. We'll show you guys the second pumpkin that we have growing. This one is massive. I don't even know if we're going to be able to lift this pumpkin when it comes time to harvest it, but for sure we're going to find a way to get it up on the deck and carve it out. You can see how big this pumpkin actually is. It grew bigger than we ever could have imagined. It started off super small. You can see my hand compared to the size of the pumpkin. All the kids' hands on here. This thing is just giant. We can't wait to be able to carve this thing up and hopefully get a weight on it to see how much it actually weighs.
So now that we got all the potatoes harvested for this year, where one job ends, another job begins, guys. If you guys saw last year, we built a DIY insulated waterer for our goats. Well, we need a second one for the boys. We're not going to show you guys step by step how to do this. I'll put a link at the end of this video to last year's DIY bucket holder, insulated water holder, so you guys can check that out if you haven't seen that video yet. But this is what we got to do this afternoon, guys. Like I said in the previous video, we're switching into winter mode. Even though it's a beautiful day here in the middle of September, it's 20 degrees still here in New Brunswick, we need to be thinking about winter because winter isn't far away. So we're gonna get this project done so we can move on to other projects around the homestead. We'll wrap the bottom of the bucket in saran wrap, turn this upside down, and fill this all with spray foam.
It was messy last time.
It was messy. We found it took about 3 or 4 days to cure. Yeah. But the advantages last year, I noticed, like in November and December, when we weren't down to minus 30 yet, we were only about minus 10, the water didn't freeze. Versus a bucket just hanging on the wall, at minus 10, it froze. That's right. Now, when we get down to minus 30, nothing stops it. We don't use heated. We just change the water several times a day. So with a little bit of scrap wood and a piece of plywood, we're going to get this project done.
Move on, because I got a list of things that needs to be done.
And it's September.
It is.
And winter's only a couple months away.
Pretty soon there will be snow all around me.
Stop it. Don't talk about the snow.
Coming.
It is coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we got the box built, guys. We just need to spray foam the inside of the box. You can see how it fits on there. You can see the bucket underneath there. What we're going to do this time, instead of using saran wrap, we're going to try and use an old feed bag. Recycle, reuse, instead of wasting saran wrap, give it a try. So we're going to wrap the bag around the bucket, and then we're going to spray this whole area with spray foam. We're going to let that set up for about 2 or 3 days, and then we'll put the plywood on the bottom, and it'll be ready for the winter time. And
my goats are concerned.
The boys are like, what are you doing with the feed bag?
They think there's no food left.
So pretty much almost every project, we buy some of this spray foam. Now this can here in particular is exclusive to Home Depot, so you're not going to find it anywhere else. But I tell you, it's been a lifesaver on a lot of projects.
It really has been. We've used it to seal a lot of things, to build a lot of things, and it just works really well. Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
They call it the great stuff for a reason.
If you're on a homestead and you're in an old house, it's got cracks and gaps and drafts.
Yep.
The stuff works good. So now we're going to fill the box. Now that we wrap the old feed bag around the bucket on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill that box full of the great stuff.
We're going to fill this whole box and we're going to let it sit. It's probably going to take about 3 days, and then we're just going to shave it off so it's flat on the bottom. We'll take our bottom piece, we'll screw it on, and this will be good to go for the boys for their water for the winter.
Speaking of boys, do you have a Kyle under the table?
There's a Kyle there, and there's an Oreo over there.
Hi, Oreo.
They just hang out while we do stuff.
And eat random
stuff.
Garbage, yeah, paper, plastic. Hey, buddy.
They periodically headbutt each other and whatnot. Come for scratches. They're just fun to have around. They're our yard goats. They just hang out wherever we are.
So we got the box all spray foamed. We're going to let that set up for about 2 or 3 days. Then we're going to put the bottom on it and see how it all worked out. We're going to let the goats outside so they can run around and play with the kids this afternoon. Well, it's time to check on the chickens, guys, and see how many eggs we have today. Let's head over to the chicken coop and let's do a count. Hey, guys, how many eggs do you think there are?
I think there's 8.
8. Okay. Let's have a look.
Well, sometimes there might be 8. Oh, an egg right here. 1. No more.
Just one. Let's kick this one out. Can I see under you?
Oh, there's 2 eggs. 2 eggs. 3 of them. So none of us were right. It's only 3.
There you go. There will probably be some more later. I'm going to put new shavings in their box because, as you can see, the babies have been sleeping in the nesting boxes. And that's probably why the girls don't want to lay any eggs in them.
So we were hoping this year to get a wood chipper But Home Depot had no stock this year. And with COVID-19, well, we didn't want to go to any garage sales or call anybody and go to their house and buy a used one from them. So we've been getting our shavings from our local country feed store in town. It's not super expensive. It was about like $4 a bag.
$4 a bag, something like that. I think $4.50. They switched suppliers.
And the bags actually last quite a while.
Oh yeah.
So
the last bag I had in here we've used since spring.
Spring, yeah. So 4 months for one bag for $4.
Yeah.
You're looking
and that
at
was all of our brooders and everything.
So $1 a month in shavings really isn't too bad. But we're hoping next year to get ourselves a wood chipper because we still got a whole bunch of land to clear, and we'll be able to save our own shavings.
Exactly, much better. But for now, this will do.
Sure is nice having good help on the farm. And the kids love helping with the animals every night, collecting the eggs, putting them away. Good job, Miss Maya.
That should make the chickens a little happier now. Gotta break the habit of the babies sleeping in the boxes, but we can't block off the boxes because we have chickens that want to lay in them. It's a fine balance.
So we got 3 eggs today. Hopefully we get a few more later on. We're going to head inside. We're going to take all the potatoes in. We're going to start dinner, and then we're going to come out and put the goats to bed.
Give the boys a snack after they've been running around all afternoon. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, guys, as we built the boys a new insulated water bucket for this winter and harvested our potatoes. We'll see you guys in the next video. As always, thanks for watching.